Hello, everybody. A warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster, where I'm very excited to be so close to the start of Royal Ascot 2025, which is one of the great racing spectacles, not just of the year in Britain, but anywhere in the world. And I hope you're going to enjoy all 5 days. If you happen to be new to the service, then please press the subscribe button just below this screen and you'll get all my free selections. And I'm offering 4 of them, one for each of the first 4 days of Royal Ascot in this bulletin. If you're interested in far more in-depth analysis and some plenty more tips each day of the Royal meeting and going forward, then consider clicking on the link in the description box just below this screen to join in my out in front service where we've been having a really good run of things over the last 6 weeks and we're looking forward to having more winners at Royal Ascot. Well, as I say, I'm going to give you one tip for each of the first 4 days, and then I'll be back with a bulletin on Friday for you for the final day of Royal Ascot. So let's go straight to it with Tuesday, day 1 of Royal Ascot. And my selection that I want to highlight for you here is in the 5 o'clock race, the 2.5 mile Ascot Stakes handicap, where there'll be 20 runners. Or there certainly are at the time of this recording. The advance going good to firm in places, but with the weather set fair, I think most people are expecting it to ride pretty much good to firm. And it's good to see plenty of old favourites back for this marathon, along with a number who are going to tackle this rarely run trip for the first time. Now, there's sure to be plenty of pro-royal sentiment behind the chance of the Willie Mullins trained favourite Reaching High, who's got Ryan Moore no less on board, and is sure to be a really popular choice with punters in King Charles's colours. Now, this horse won at 1 3/4 last season for the now retired Sir Michael Stout, and he made a good start for his new handler Willie Mullins when beaten just a short head in a 1.5 mile handicap at Leopardstown in Ireland last month. This, though, is a massive step up in trip, and he does have his stamina to prove. Willie Mullins also runs Ponyross, who was favourite when well beaten for the 9 furlong Cambridgeshire handicap at Newmarket last autumn, prior to making that stunning jumps debut and winning the Grade 1 Triumph Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival in March at odds of no less than 100 to 1. He proved that no fluke when he was second to Lulamba at Punchestown in a Grade 1 Novice Hurdle at the end of last month, but is another who is taking a massive step up in trip. I just think Ponyross has got a bit to prove. When you think he ran in the Cambridgeshire over 9 furlongs and he's trying to go 20 furlongs here in this Ascot Stakes. To be honest, I was surprised how well East India Dock, trained by James Owen, stayed on to win the coveted Chester Cup over 2.25 miles at Chester just over 5 weeks ago. Zoffy was back in third that day and reopposes on Tuesday. Now, East India Dock continues to progress under both codes, and despite an £8 rise for that Chester success, he could still be very much in the mix. Manxman, trained by Simon and Crisford, stays well and failed by just a nose to Lander Cesarewicz at HQ last autumn, just foiled by Alphonse Legrand, trained by Tony Martin, who's going to face him again. His latest 2-mile win at Goodwood shows him to be in good form, and he meets Mr. Hampstead, trained by Raphael Freire, on £2 worse terms here for that next success. For his part, Alphonse Legrand should be much better for a quiet return run recently at the Curragh. Other Irish raiders, Ascending for Henry de Bromhead and Nürburgring for Joseph O'Brien, are both respected, especially Ascending, who's still unexposed, I feel, as a staying handicapper. And Liari, trained by Michael Bell, won very easily over 1 3/4 at Newmarket last time, and nothing could lay a glove on him, but he does have more on his plate this time off a £7 higher mark. Well, my selection, I've found it very hard, to be honest, to choose between my selection at Out in Front and last year's runner-up in this race, Divine Comedy. But Divine Comedy is my choice here at Sportsbet for Harry Eustace and David Probert. I've eventually come down on her side. She really is a very, very genuine mare. She stays well, and she ran her heart out in this race 12 months ago. You can check the video. She was second to the very well handicapped and progressive Pledge of Allegiance, and she gave the winner plenty of weight that day. Now, to be honest, I don't think she would have been ideally suited by the sharp track at Chester. In the Chester Cup last time, you can overlook her finishing position there. She still ran well for 2 miles of the 2.25 miles. And I just think that she looks overpriced at the 25 to 1 each way for 5 places, available with Bet365 at the time of this recording on Monday late afternoon. Divine Comedy is one of the few in this field that we know really does stay this trip. So that's my selection on Tuesday. To day 2 of Royal Ascot now, Wednesday the 18th of June, and my selection here is in another staying race. The 305 is the Group 2 Queen's Vase. Now they're expecting the ground to be good to firm good in places for the 13 runners. It's a race for stamina-laden 3-year-olds, with maybe 1 or 2 of them likely to be good enough to contest the St Leger this year or possibly become a cup horse next year. Aidan O'Brien has won this race 5 times in the last decade, the most recently with this week's Gold Cup favourite Illinois. He has 2 good chances to improve his fine record this year, with Shackleton and Scandinavia both towards the head of the market following the final declarations on Monday morning. Shackleton has disappointed when favoured for his last 2 starts in Group 3 company over 1.25 miles, but clearly connections now feel he is more of a stayer, while Scandinavia stayed on well to win a Navan 1.25 mile maiden on his seasonal reappearance a month ago and is likely to have improved for that outing. They're both very much respected given their connections. Devil's Advocate, trained by Charlie Appleby, showed bags of stamina as a juvenile to win a Chelmsford 1.25 mile maiden, then disappointed in listed company on his final 2-year-old outing. He outran his odds of 80 to 1 to finish 4th in the Group 2 Dante Stakes at York last month, but to be honest, the form of that race has taken quite a few knocks since. This trip, though, should suit, and he comes very much into the reckoning, as too does the Francis-Henri Graffard trained Asmarani, who's a big player. Graffard has been in tremendous form in France. He landed the French Oaks on Sunday. And if Asmarani handles the much faster ground than he's ever encountered before, he could go really close. His latest second in a longshot Group 3 was a good effort over 1.75 miles and is bred to stay this kind of trip. Simon and Ed Crisford's Spinning Wheel is unbeaten in 2 starts, both in novice company and up to 1.3 miles, and he shapes as though he'll stay further. He really is thoroughly unexposed. And the Rave Beckett trained Pinhole, winner of a mile novice event last December, may very well have needed the run when only 4th in the Group 3 Chester Vase. And as I'm sure many of you know, that form is red hot. It could not have worked out better, with the winner and the runner-up going on to finish 1st and 2nd in the Derby, no less. So Pinhole has every chance if he stays the longer trip. I considered Pinhole very, very seriously, but in the end, my selection is Karmas, trained in Ireland by Paddy Toomey and the Mount of Biddy Lee. This horse has done everything right so far in his 2-race career, winning a Ballon Road 1.5 furlong maiden on debut early last month, then stepping up to listed company just 8 days after his debut, and he comfortably justified 6 to 4 favouritism at Navan in the manner of a horse who is going to be a really useful stayer. Now, to be honest, this is another big step up the ladder, but he couldn't have done more than win those 2 starts really well, and there may well be a deal of improvement still to come. He's very well regarded by his excellent handler, who doesn't send many horses across to England. And being by Wooden Basset out of a See the Stars mare, he's got a lovely pedigree with plenty of stamina on the damn side. So at 6 to 1 each way, Karmas is my recommended bet for Wednesday at Royal Ascot in the Queen's Vase, which is off at 3:05. Now, on to Thursday, Ladies' Day, the 19th of June, at Royal Ascot. The 5 o'clock race there is the 1 mile Britannia Handicap, expected to be run on pretty much good to firm ground, a cavalry charge with 30 runners on the straight mile. Now, with 56 runners still in the race at the time of recording on Monday afternoon, and only 30, of course, set to jump away on Thursday afternoon, it is a very tall order to try and figure out this ultra-competitive handicap. The draw, of course, may well play its part, and at the time of recording, the bookies are betting 12 to 1 the field. The Roger Varian trained To Room is heading the market. He completed a fine early season hat-trick when he came with a strong late run to land A £100,000 handicap event at Haydock last time, and the £6 rise to his new mark of 96 looks fair. Also prominent in the market is Rafe Beckett's unexposed Consolidation, who came home well at Goodwood last time to lead close home in a decent 7-furlong handicap. He has a furlong further to go this time, but he does give the impression he will stay. Rafe Beckett's brave mission gives him a strong hand, having shaped well on his seasonal reappearance when second at this track over 7 furlongs, and he's another who looks as though a mile might be his optimum trip. The odd also has a possible third string to their bow with El Matador, who's on a hat-trick after 2 wins in novice company. Archivist for William Haggis is expected to tackle this race in preference to the 1.25 mile handicap later in the week. He ran a sequence of second places last season, but did get off the mark last time at Leicester in pretty impressive fashion in maiden company, and it might be that finally the penny has dropped. Godolphin could have a number of darts at this. Charlie Appleby's Bedouin Prince is on a hat-trick after a good novice win over a mile last time at Newmarket. John and Thady Gosden could run another hat-trick seeker, Fifth Column, who was winner of the prestigious Isha Cup handicap at Sandown last time and is still a player despite a £6 rise in his mark. And Saeed bin Saror's Arabian Story, who landed at Chelmsford Mile Maiden last time on his third career start with plenty to spare, is interesting. He goes handicapping for the first time, but a mark of 97 doesn't look particularly generous. George Bowie's Chester winner El Bahan beat Tom Clover's God of War, who could reoppose, and faces a very different challenge here, but both are certainly not out of it. And among a host of other potential contenders, Clive Cox's easy course and distance winner, Fear Not, is back for more off a £10 higher mark. That's a lot. And stable companion Shameful will bid to go one better than the Curragh last time. While Afantico for Paul and Oliver Cole was only a length behind Taroom on his reappearance, and there's a case to be made for him turning it around on the revised terms. But as I say, still with 56 runners in the race at the time of this recording, my selection is going to be Parole d'Oro for Michael Bell and Callum Shepherd. Now, he's number 32 on the list, so it's very likely that he's going to get into the race. And assuming he does, I can see Parole d'Oro running very well indeed. He was a fine runner-up at Ascot in a decent 7-furlong novice event last July, and then he comfortably went one better on his next start, landing an Epsom 7-furlong novice contest on quick ground with a minimum of fuss a few weeks later. He didn't race again last season and wasn't seen until reappearing at Thirsk in April, where he ran a cracker, attempting to give the race-fit Taroom £2. And the pair had a real battle, pulling clear of their rivals, and then after a real head-to-head war, it was Taroom who got the better of the argument that day. But Parole d'Oro is now £6 better off with Taroom for just 3/4 of a length, and with that comeback run, sure to have put him straight for this, I think he's got a big chance as long as the draw doesn't undermine him. The trip and the ground look ideal for Parole d'Oro, and it's 16 to 1 each way, and expecting 4 places at the very least, maybe 5 or even 6, depending on how they bet. Sometimes they're a bit stingy on this race, the bookmakers, on place terms. I think Parole d'Oro is going to go really well. I've got to say, wherever Taroom is, I think Parole d'Oro will be close and probably, I'm hoping, just a little bit in front. And then to my 4th selection on day 4 at Royal Ascot, the 20th of June, Friday, the 5:35 race is what's known as the Ascot Derby, the Group 2 King Edward VII Stakes, expected to be run on good to firm ground. Well, Amelot for Rafe Beckett is expected to take up this option instead of the Queen's Vase, and connections will be optimistic that this unbeaten gelding can continue to climb the ladder. He's an exciting prospect. His latest win in a decent listed event at Goodwood, where he beat Sir Dinner and Opportunity, who both still have entries in this race, was really impressive. And he came home powerfully despite seeming ill at ease on that awkward undulating track. No doubt about it, Amelot looks the one to beat. Aidan O'Brien may run both the Lingfield Derby trial winner Puppet Master and the last time out Naas winner Galveston, and Ballydoyle's runners are always respected. Puppet Master looks the more likely of the pair to pose a threat to the anticipated favourite Amalok. Wimbledon Hawkeye for James Owen, a Group 2 winner over a mile as a juvenile last year and third in the Group 1 Futurity at Doncaster last autumn, ran a fine race to be fifth in the 2,000 guineas no less, and then finished third in the Group 2 Dante Stakes at York. But as we know, the form hasn't worked out well at the Dante, and Owen's charge though is solid, but he may not be far away, but might find one or two too good if he does take his chance. I think a big danger to all here, of course if he takes his chance, is Cole Burke's Convergent, who won his first two starts prior to finishing third in the Group 3 Chester Vase last time out, behind the subsequent Derby winner Lambourne and the Derby runner-up. Now that is undoubtedly the best form in the race, and this really likeable sort, who also has an entry over a mile and a quarter in the Hampton Court Stakes on Thursday, I think Convergent would make them all look to their laurels if allowed to take his chance at the trip again. We'll see. But for my selection, well, I think this really could prove to be a hot race with Amalok and Convergent if they both take their chance. But I still think that the Johnny Murtagh trained Zaran could prove quite a handful. He's going to be ridden, I expect, by Ben Cohen. He has really impressed me with his progress this season. He didn't race at all last year as a 2-year-old, and he only began racing at Navan in April when he finished second in a decent mile maiden. And then he got off the mark 4 weeks later at Cork, where he slammed Ballydoyle's Des Moines by 7 lengths. He stepped up to listed company at Leopardstown earlier this month. He was slowly away, and I thought he'd blown his chance. I tipped him that day, but he came home really well with a right flourish, having been very well backed to win in the end with plenty in hand, in the manner of a horse who could be really competitive at this kind of level. Now, Johnny Murtagh hinted straight after the Leopardstown race that this contest could be next, and he runs in the colours of the late Aga Khan, who of course won this very race 12 months ago with the high-class Calandagal. I think Zaran looks worth an each-way interest, and at the current 10-1 on offer at the time of this recording with Betfair, Paddy Power and Sky Bet, I think he could go really well. Some firms aren't taking much of a chance, already cutting him to as short as 6-1. So, a tip a day for each of the 4 days here, free at Sportsbet from me, Paul Alster. I'll be back on Friday with my tip, or maybe tips for Saturday. But do think seriously about joining me at Out in Front. There are so many horses I think are going to go well at Royal Ascot at really tasty prices. And if you're interested in signing up with no obligation or tie-in, then you can find out all about it in the description link just below this screen. Whatever you back, I hope you have a great 5 days at the Royal Meeting. Bye-bye for now.